The past becomes part of the future in Detroit. Coming up on this edition of the Die Hard Den podcast, Seany J and I discuss the loss to the Packers on Sunday. Then we have to discuss what's going on in Detroit with the hiring of Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders. Then we preview the upcoming game versus the Titans. All this and more coming up right now on the Die Hard Den podcast. Watch out. Here comes that roar. What up, dude? This is Kurt Steele, and welcome to the Die Hard Den podcast. And as always, I'm with my man, Seany J.
Good evening, Lions fans all over the world. How are you?
Hey, man, it is good to be here. Now, let's get into this thing. You know what it is. We're at the Die Hard Den podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the episode of the show. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, like the video, share the video, comment on the video, tell us how we're doing. If you're a fan of our Facebook page, if you're not, please go over there and follow our Facebook page. Seany J does an excellent job of keeping you informed of what's going on with all Detroit Lions news over there on our Facebook page. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, thank you for the download. We appreciate your business. And just thank you for overall for tuning into our show. If you have a Amazon or Alexa powered device, just go ahead and say, "Hey Alexa, play the Die Hard Den podcast on your favorite podcast platform," and we'll be right there for you. You know what it's time to do. It's time to tell me something good. Now this week we have two things to tell you something good about, audience and family. It's the Chris Spielman and Barry Sanders hires to the organization. You have two members of the last winning team in Detroit coming back to the fold to help to fix the culture. So we're going to get into that more later on in the show. And the other thing is I would like to send a welcome to my second grandchild, Spencer Olivia Solis. Pawpaw loves you. Welcome to the Pride. She already has the Lions onesie on the way.
Hey, congratulations, old man. You're second time a grandfather.
Yeah, man. Loving that stuff, man. Hey, it's time to keep this show moving. Let's talk about the offense. And we know we got to start with the game on Sunday versus the Packers. So let's get into when we go on the ball. So first up, Matthew Stafford, 24 of 34, 244 yards, a touchdown, 100.9 passer rating. And he was an elite PFF performer on Sunday. DeAndre Swift coming back to the fold, from injury, 7 carries, 24 yards and a touchdown. Amendola, 6 receptions, 66 yards and a touchdown, 242 yards passing, 51 rushing, 293 yards of total offense versus the Packers in that loss on Sunday, 24-31. Now, let's take a look at a couple of things before we kind of get going here for the rest of the show. Bevel has the team playing better, even in the loss. Even they were so undermanned on that defense. It was ridiculous. You bringing up second and third string players to play in that secondary, and they still played well. The team competed. I didn't expect anything less from them just because under Bevel, they just had a different attitude.
They sure do. And I hope Bevel gets serious consideration for the full-time job. I know people might want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
They, like I said, Bieniemy or Salah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two popular names. But, I mean, how much more qualified is Bevel? Because they're all coordinators.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think the biggest issue with Bevel's going to be that he's kind of tied to Patricia because Patricia brought him to Detroit. So I think they're tying, people are, at least the fan base, are tying Darrell Bevel to Matt Patricia. All right. DeAndre Swift, couple touchdowns. Marvin Jones, that was a catch. I don't know how in the hell the ref missed that call. That was ridiculous, man. I can't get it. It happens every year. It's one call that cost the Lions a game. It doesn't matter what year it is. Last year was the Packers. Last year it was the Trey Flowers, phantom hands to the face thing, and this year it's the Marvin Jones non-catch. Think about how much time that would have saved the Lions, and how much better they would have been in position to make the game go a little bit closer, or even tie the game up.
Even Aaron Rodgers congratulated him on. He said, "Man, you really caught that pass. I know you caught that pass."
Yeah,
You know,
you hear it in that the in the sight and sound. So I don't get it. All right, the offensive line struggled a little bit versus Green Bay. You know, they got the Smith boys up there, and you know they recorded 4 sacks against Matthew Stafford, and then the 2 big injuries. Stafford with the rib injury. Now he's not ruling himself out, but he suffered a rib cartilage injury. Luckily, he didn't break any ribs in the game. And then Frank Ragnow suffered a throat injury. You know, played the whole game and without being able to talk, and that's a big problem for a center because they call out all the protections on the offensive line. They're basically the quarterback of the offensive line. They call all the shifts, the slides, and the protections for the quarterback. And for him to play through that pain was a pretty big deal. And they said that the injury that he suffered comes from like they're conducive with strangulation. So that type of injury to that throat, the fractures are conducive with somebody strangling someone. So I don't know what happened inside one of those dog piles to make that happen, but you know, big shout out to Big Frank, Big Tank Frank. You know what I'm saying? Frank the Tank doing his thing out there. Frank the Tank was out there, you know, still mowing guys down, making some good blocks. But you know, there's a concern that either him or Stafford may not play on Sunday versus Sunday versus the Titans.
It won't surprise me to see them both out there. They're the 2 of the toughest SOBs in the game today.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. All right, that's the offensive side of the ball. All right, it's time to talk about this defense versus the Packers. Let's get into it. It's time to defend the den. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, you know, you had Darryl Roberts in a fill-in role, 7 tackles, 6 solo, 1 pass defense. Jerron Curse had 6 total tackles and 4 solo. Jamie Collins Sr. continued to rack up the tackles for the season, 6 total tackles, 3 solos, and he had a pass defense. Now here's where it gets kind of loose. 410 yards of total offense, 290 for Aaron Rodgers through the air, and you know the stable of running backs put up 120 on the ground. You know, 410 yards of offense is a lot to give up, but I would have to say this. You know, those guys played hard on Sunday because they had a lot of backups playing. You know, along the defensive line and especially in that secondary, they did. I think they played the best they could with what they had out there on the field. You know, it was yeah. So it was going to be tough sledding. You can't come in there with your second and third string players and play offense like the Packers. You know. I know say what you will, but you have to say that those guys are talented. Look at Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers and Jamal Williams, and those guys are stacked on the offense. And to come in and compete against those guys, I have to tip my hat to those guys. Mike Ford played okay. You know, those guys. We just didn't have any pressure on Aaron Rodgers. It was kind of hard. You know, you have your best pass rushers are really, out on IR, so they weren't playing in the game. So the run defense, except for Romeo Okwara, but when they don't have the other guys, they can double team him all day and keep his pressures down because they can dedicate more people to Romeo Okwara.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, I was disappointed. We got no pressure, no sacks.
Yeah.
On Rodgers, gave it forward on Stafford, but like I said, pass rusher. I still want that awesome pass rusher, and I still want another running back. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get into it later on. All right, now here's the big thing. Here's the thing that scares me, and we'll talk about this. How will the Lions stop Derrick Henry? That's going to be a test. That guy been chewing, except for like really one game, he's been chewing up the yards on the ground. So, that's going to be an issue for Detroit on Sunday.
Yes, it will. I guess we'll get to really gang tackle, put 11 in the box. Man, focus on him.
And even that, sometimes even that ain't enough for that dude.
Right.
That dude, he drag and carry a whole bunch of people down the field, man. And
he's the new beast mode,
man. And I think he's even better because he's faster. That dude is quick. I mean, for that size, you know what I'm saying, and for his size, he is a load and he's fast. So it's like an offensive lineman that can run a 4.5 or something like that, man. It's ridiculous. So I mean,
yes.
but yeah, the defense is gonna be handcuffed the rest of the year just because of the amount of injuries that we've suffered. A lot of the amount of starters that we've lost is just it's kind of one of those things where it's gonna be hard to adjust for all those injuries on the offensive line. I mean, on defensive line and in the secondary as well. But Okuda's out for the rest of the year. Trufant's out for the rest of the year, pretty much. And you just gonna have to play with backups for the rest of the season in the secondary. And you can't. It's hard to win when you have backups in the secondary, but you can't get any pressure as well.
That's true. I mean, we're going to discuss, who I want for the Lions, folks on the draft and free agency, later on the show, maybe 2 points conversing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I mean, we're a long way from the draft, so it's gonna be interesting to see who we get as a general manager, and we'll talk about that later on, how the team is gonna be rebuilt. So, all right, that was Defend the Den, people. The defensive side of the ball. Keep playing, fellas. Keep playing hard. Keep grinding it out. We know you're playing your heart out with being undermanned. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Die Hard Den podcast. We appreciate you checking us out. If you're watching the video on Facebook or YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video, comment, ring the notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh content from us right here on the Die Hard Den podcast. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, following us, go over there and check it out. Seany J does an excellent job of keeping you all informed of the Detroit Lions news on our Facebook page. If you listening to us on one of our podcast platforms, thank you for the download. We appreciate it. And if you have an Alexa-powered device, just say, Alexa, play the Die Hard Den podcast on Apple Podcasts, and we'll be right there for you. All right, now it's time to really get into a quick version of our favoriteest game. Are you ready for it, my man?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, it's time to do hell yeah or hell no. Nah. So first up, all right, the Lions need to shut down key starters for the rest of the season. Hell yeah or hell no. Nah. And I'm talking about like veteran starters, the ones that are kind of up there in age. Let some of the younger starters play.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good question. If like for instance, like if Matthew Stafford's, the key, I do want him back next year, but if he's hurt, I would say shut him down for the final 3 games. Let him get healthy. Yeah, all depends. Well, you don't want to shut everybody down because you want to be able to put a competitive team out there. And people are like Marvin Jones, who I want back also. He's playing for a contract. He's been playing lights out, really. I want him back. That's a tough one. I'm going to say, hell no, you don't shut down all your starters. Maybe Stafford and, of course, Okuda, who's gone for the season already. But you got to let these guys earn their paychecks still, even though you might be playing for them. And they still got a very minuscule, slight chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, like
so
1%. Yeah. I'm going to say hell yeah. I think that some of those key veterans, even the ones that are already out, now I'm not saying shut all of them down, but I'm saying like key veteran starters, like I think, let Ragnar heal up, and then definitely let Matthew Stafford heal. Looking at in that, let some of the younger guys keep playing. TJ Hawkinson continue his Pro Bowl year, DeAndre Swift, continue to play. But some of those key veteran starters, I say we can definitely have those guys have a seat and let some of the younger guys get out there and play. All right, next up, the new head coach needs to try to keep Braden Combs on staff. Hell yeah or hell nah?
Hell yeah. He's a bright young coach. He's done well. Special teams are one of our bright spots in the season. I will also say if if gosh, I'm drawing the blank. Bevel doesn't get the head coaching job. The new coach will keep Bevel runs the offensive coordinator. Let's keep both Bevel and Combs.
Okay, I'm gonna say I don't know about Bevel, but I'm gonna say definitely hell yeah for Braden Combs. He has done an excellent job. That guy's gonna be a star coming in the future real soon. He's one of those guys that's gonna be like a McVay type of guys. That young up and coming guy who's very innovative, and he has the Lions special teams playing very very well. All right, next up, Derrick Henry will set an NFL record versus the Lions on Sunday.
You've got to ask
Hell,
questions.
and I'm talking about the single season, the single game rushing record on Sunday versus the Lions. Hell yeah or hell no? Nah.
Hell no, because the Lions going to show up and show some pride. They're going to get some yardage, but he's not going to break the record on them.
Man, I'm hate to say this, man, but I'm gonna say hell yeah. I am definitely scared of this right here, and we'll get into it more when we go on our game prep. But I don't know. He's had some big games this year. He's had a few 200-yard games this year, and I don't know how the Lions keep him from getting 300. All right, last one. All right, Jeff Okudah should be moved to safety next season. Hell yeah or hell nah?
I've seen that question thrown around a lot on the internet and message boards and sites.
Yeah.
He was drafted to be a shutdown corner. Remember we discussed this. Everybody named Mama said that Okudah was the right pick for the Lions. He's going to be an all-pro cornerback for many years to come and control that rhetoric. I had my doubts about him. Okay, well we got to support him because he's a Lion now. Possibly. If you think that he could be better suited, make a better safety than cornerback, I said, hell yeah, go for it. Because wherever he can shine, I don't care. Make him a linebacker.
Yeah.
Make him a running back. Wherever he can help the Lions.
Yeah. Here's my thing. Think about one of our favorite, because Seany J and I are Michigan fans. Think about one of our favorite corners at the University of Michigan, Charles Woodson. He turned out to be a better safety in the league than he did a corner. And I think it may be the same thing for Okudah. He has the skill set. He can tackle. He has some good size to him. So he can, think about it. He's a young man. His body hasn't even matured yet. So he can put some extra poundage on to be a safety. I think he can be a very good one.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go for that. But if you do that, going in get another corner out there for you.
I think they need another corner. They're gonna need another corner anyway. They're gonna need a couple more corners. Look at the depth we have, and with Trufant's injuries, he's just he's on a 2-year deal, and he's been gone already most of this year. He didn't play a lot even in Atlanta, so we're gonna have to get some more cornerbacks in the rotation anyway here in Detroit. All right, so that is hell yeah or hell nah. It is time for this week's big meat and potatoes of the show, 2 points conversing. All right, so we announced it at the Tell Me Something Good earlier in the show, and it is we had Barry Sanders, and let's start to touch on him right quick. Now, Barry Sanders is coming back into the fold. He had a long divorce with the Lions after he retired, and they really did to him what they did to they did to Barry Sanders first. What they did to Calvin Johnson, took some of that money back, after he was the face of the league, one of the best running backs of all time. So he had a contentious relationship with the Lions for a long time, but he's back into the fold, and he's going to be assisting Sheila Hemp and Rod Wood in the GM search and the coaching search. He's going to be lending his assistance to those individuals, and that's a good thing. But with even a bigger role, we have one Mr. Chris Spielman. Chris Spielman is hired as a special assistant to Rod Wood and to Sheila Hemp, but more prominently working with Rod Wood. He was a Lions linebacker from 88 to 95, 4 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro selections with Detroit. He will assist with the GM and head coach and other football operations. That's the really big thing with him. He wants to do a lot of other things than just help with the GM search. He's going to be helping with the overall football operations with the team, and he wants the team to have a Detroit mentality. I mean, listening to him talk, I was excited to hear Chris Spielman. I mean, he was one of those guys that was floated around for a general manager position. And he said straight up, he said, I'm not qualified to be a GM, but I
Yes,
can
he
do
did.
this. And that's one thing that I was really happy about to hear him say, yeah, I'm not really a GM, I'm not, that's my thing. I'm not qualified for that job, but I can help the team do a lot of things. And one of the things he wanted to do is definitely come up with an identity for Detroit, a Detroit identity. And we got away from that for so many years. And the last thing we're trying to be the Midwest Patriots or the Motown Pats, that wasn't right. And it didn't fit in Detroit.
Didn't work at all.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want any former Patriots, anybody with any Patriot ties, consider for the coaching job or the GM job.
Yeah.
I want somebody fresh and no Patriot ties,
Yeah, it's I will say this, man. When I saw an introductory press conference, I was watching it and I was like, I just had this overwhelming feeling of, how I felt back when he was playing in Detroit and just how he became a student of the game on both sides. So when he stopped being a player, he started becoming a student of the game and the organization's part of football. He's got a brother that's a GM, but he takes meticulous notes about what he sees in the league every time he would go with Fox to an area to do a game. He would study both organizations, take meticulous notes, like I said, and really study what it takes to build a winner. And I think he's going to help do that in Detroit.
Yes, maybe one day in 5 years or 3 years, he'd be ready for a GM job. He learned his apprenticeship, a paid apprenticeship, if you will.
Yeah.
He's in the front office. He's not like Matt Millen, but he brought, Matt Millen taught a great game too. Matt Millen's a great football player.
Yeah.
He won 5 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
He like he knew, like I said, he talked. You hear when he did the games, he knew what he was talking about. He talked a good game, but they put him in the front office. Well, you know how that happened.
Yeah.
You know what happened there. So.
And I think the difference with Chris is that he knows he's not qualified to be a GM. And
exactly.
Because some guys, they just, I'm a big name. I did all this in the league and I should be, qualified to have this position. And Chris Spielman was like, nah, bruh, that's not me right now. So, and I like that. And I like the fact he says that the One Pride is not just a community, it's a feeling. When you wear Lions gear, something with the Lions on it, with One Pride on it, you should have this feeling of pride. And he wants to bring the pride, being proud of being a Detroit fan, to bringing that back into the fold.
Yes. And let me say that, before we move on, that everybody wasn't happy with this hire. I was very happy. I like it.
Yes, I was too.
Lions fans like it. But the long-time Terry Foster, who's the long-time news columnist with Detroit News and Free Press, of the Lions, he thinks it's nothing but a big PR move to pull the wool over gullible Lions fans. Those are exact words. And he also called Barry Sanders a washed-up casino greeter. So, I mean, those are some very harsh words from Terry Foster.
You know what, though?
You think you show Barry more respect.
You know what, though? I'm not for the disrespect. I'm not for it. I mean, like, I pay very little or no attention to Valenti or his show or his antics over there on 97.1 The Ticket. I think a lot of it is just what it is. He's paid to be that way. And he may very well feel the way he feels. I don't agree with that, but for Foster to be disrespectful to some Lions legends like that, that's just ridiculous, man. I think Sheila Ford Hemp is trying to find the best way to bring the last winning type of feel, that last winning team, and bring that pride and how the Lions felt about that organization and how the fans felt about the team back then. She wants to bring that back, and who else to bring that back to Detroit is the two biggest stars on those teams.
Two beloved former Lions.
Yeah.
The best players in the Lions. The all-time leading tackler and Spielman, and the all-time rusher, one of the greats in NFL history, Barry Sanders. I mean.
Yeah, I just
so I know Foster's problem.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to I don't. Here's my thing, it's like Skip Bayless. I don't pay attention to Skip Bayless, what I'm saying? Because he's going to say what he's going to say because he wants to be controversial. It just wants to, he wants to have a buzz about him. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't look at those things as, well, you just say what you're gonna say just because of the fact that you want to just say something controversial. I don't get with that. I don't get with the disrespect either. So Mr. Foster can miss me on that one. All right, let's move on real quick. Yeah, speculation on social media that the Lions are moving away from Matthew Stafford. I know there was one guy out there at Denver radio station was saying this, that they it's going around that that Stafford is going to be done and Stafford is going to be leaving the organization. But if you look at that, I kind of take that with a grain of salt, and because who's the biggest name that said they're going to try to get Stafford in the offseason? Denver.
John Elway loves Stafford, yes.
Yeah, so you're gonna sell. I think that's a speculation thing. I think that's them being wishful thinkers out there in Denver. Now, if it happens, it happens. But one thing that is going to be hard, and not just, I don't want Stafford to leave. I think Stafford needs, I think I like Matthew Stafford. I like the way he plays. He's a tough guy, and just the amount of everything he's done for the Lions over the last few years, and he's done it really pretty much undermanned. He's only had 1,000-yard rusher. He's had the Lions have relied on his arm for so many years. So he's been pretty much all the offense. Has been going through his hands. So he doesn't have a solid running game or even a solid defense to kind of rely on. So but I say all that to say this. Another reason why it's going to be hard to get rid of Matthew Stafford is his biggest year and his biggest cap hit of his contract is what year? 2021. He's
next year, yeah.
$33 million. That's 17% of the Lions cap space. It's a $19 million cap hit and only a $14 million savings. You're going to have to find someone who's going to willing to take on pretty much $16.5 million to pay half of his contract for next year. And the Lions are still going to be in a hook for the other half of that. So, it's just one of those things that he's too much of a cap liability to get rid of him next season. Is just
right.
It's poor fiscal responsibility on part of the Lions. If you're going to be paying an elite quarterback, or maybe a second tier quarterback, he should be on your team. You shouldn't be paying his contract or paying $16 million for a guy to be playing on another team. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yes. We know how Lion fans are. Say, play devil's advocate for a minute. Say we trade Stafford to the Patriots or the Cowboys or the Broncos, and he leads them to the Super Bowl. Lion fans can be felt left out in the cold again.
Yeah.
You see that meme on SpongeBob? One of the characters looking outside, SpongeBob playing. He's in the house locked up. That's Lions fans for you. We have seen it so many times with Kyle Van Noy and Eddie Murray when he won a Super Bowl with Dallas.
Yeah.
And when the guy we traded San Francisco, all those former Lions who played the Super Bowl for the 49ers last year.
Lincoln Tomlinson.
Lincoln Tomlinson, brothers. Yes.
Yeah.
We so and look and all people. Eric Anderson might go to the Steelers this year. So that's the story of Lion fans. We get rid of a guy, say he's a bum, but he finds success elsewhere. Look at Sue. Sue played the Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yep.
So that's the story of Lions fans.
Yep. All right, last part, let's kind of close the 2 points conversion out. Let's look at the Lions are interviewing several big name GM candidates this week, going into next week. You got Riddick coming in on Friday. Rick Smith will be there on Saturday. You got Pioli coming in next week. Thomas Dimitroff. There's a lot of big names coming to Detroit to interview for the GM job this weekend. And I would say this, as far as the pool, the GM pool, for me, looking at it, is a lot deeper this year than the coaching pool. There's a lot of, big time, big name GM candidates out there. And the Lions are doing their due diligence. They're bringing in some big names, some big experienced guys, some guys that have won Super Bowls as GMs into Detroit to interview for this job. Any of those guys really stand out to you? Who you would say, hey, this is one guy that I think should be considered for the Lions GM job?
They're all, like I said, big names. Once again, just for the aesthetics of it, for the optics, I would avoid anybody with any type of Patriot ties. And that includes Dimitroff and Pioli.
Yeah.
Because, we went through from Quinn and Patricia and all these former Patriot players. Oh, my God. I think Lions fans are very weary of anything from New England. So it might get eliminated from there. But one of the guys all Lions fans wanted is Louis Riddick. So he might be the guy to be the GM. So hope we can hire him.
Yeah. I would say with those guys, with Dimitroff and Pioli, I mean, they had their really success outside of the Patriot organization, so I really wouldn't hold that against them, but I understand exactly what you're saying, my man. Riddick is going to be in town tomorrow on Friday, and Saturday is my guy. The guy I'm looking at is Rick Smith. Rick Smith is an excellent talent evaluator, and he just got a raw deal from the Texans. If you don't know that story, it's ridiculous how he lost his position as a general manager.
He's trying to help his ailing wife.
Yeah, he went to help his ailing wife. Went and she had breast cancer. And he went to help her, and because he was the GM and the executive president of football operations. And Bill O'Brien got that power, and when he came back, he didn't want to release it. It was like ridiculous. So he just kind of got pushed out. You're talking about this is the guy. Look at some of the names he drafted: J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, Merciless, Jadeveon Clowney. He signed A.J. Boye and Arian Foster to undrafted free agent contracts. I mean, this guy.
Glover Quinn.
Yeah, Glover Quinn. I mean, look at the talent pool that he just really brought into the Texans. And it's ridiculous amount of talent that he brought in. So that is one of the guys I'm looking at that and look at how quickly that Bill O'Brien Quinn Trisha did and just tore it all down to the studs. There's no way that Bill O'Brien should have traded DeAndre Hopkins. What are the top receivers in the league? I mean,
I thought that was a bad trade.
I don't get that. I mean, and I put it like this, and to kind of tie it to the Lions, you let a Pro Bowl cornerback in Darius Slade go to the Eagles. You trade him away, then that's that same type of field you had with the DeAndre Hopkins trading him for David Johnson. I just think I don't get that.
Yes.
I don't get that.
You trade away. I don't either. You also trade away some great players, popular players with good players, with extra players like your boy Debo or Nino, Kanye Diggs, and also Golden Tate.
Yeah.
I mean, away for draft picks that haven't panned out. Where are those draft picks? Who are those draft picks? We ain't get no help from draft picks. I keep bringing this up too. Like the Tigers still help from the players they traded Justin Verlander away for. They sort of gave Verlander away for nothing. And same thing with the Lions. They gave really good players basically for nothing.
Yeah.
Where's the return? Where's the return for trading away Lincoln Tomlinson?
Yeah.
The 49ers or Van Noy to the Patriots. I mean, so we get no return on these trades.
Yeah. All right. So it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna be taking over that helm. But I'm like with Chris Spielman, I want them, whoever it is, to build a team with that Detroit mentality, tough nose, hit you in the mouth on defense, and will flank you out and outrun you on the offense and run you into the ground, through the ground or through the air. So that's 2 points conversion this week. We appreciate you checking us out right here on the Die Hard Dan podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Ring that notification bell so you know when you're getting fresh content from us right here at the Die Hard Den podcast. If you're on Facebook, please follow our Facebook page. My man Seany J holds it down over there on our Facebook page, keeping you informed of all Detroit Lions news over there. If you're listening on a podcast platform, thanks for the download. We appreciate it. And if you have an Alexa powered device, just say, "Hey Alexa, play the Die Hard Den on the on one of your favorite podcast platforms," and we'll be right there for you. All right, so let's get into this. Lions versus Titans coming up this weekend. First of all, let's look at the Thursday practice report. All right, so let's go through it real quick. Tyrell Crosby continues to be out with an ankle injury. Kenny Golladay is still out. Deshaun Hand was a no practice with the ankle as well. Frank the Tank is out again with that throat injury. Darryl Roberts has the hip. He can't get it right. Matthew Stafford with the rib cartilage injury and a thumb. So all of those players that I just named did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. John Pennicini continues to be limited with a shoulder for Wednesday and Thursday. The linebacker or fullback, Jason Kambina, has the sniffles, so he didn't practice on Wednesday, but he was a full go today, along with Adrian Peterson with the forearm injury. Tracy Walker with a shoulder was a full practice today after limited practice tomorrow. And the one guy who couldn't get healthy for the longest actually is still playing right now, Austin Bryant. You know how many years he's been in Detroit and hasn't really played that much? A few. And
second year. It's only second year. Come
yeah,
on.
but you know, it's like I didn't know who this guy was. Especially how big he was coming out of Clemson. And
right.
the last guy is CJ Moore. Was a full practice yesterday and today with the ankle injury. We recorded this show on Thursday night. So those are our injuries going into Tennessee on Sunday. The Lions are 11-point underdog versus the Tennessee. Tennessee is a better team stat-wise on both sides of the ball. It's just going to be hard for the Lions to keep Derrick Henry at bay. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You said it earlier that they're gonna play with some pride and stuff, but you know, what's that thing Mike Tyson says? Everybody has a plan till you get smacked in the mouth, and that dude has been smacking people in the mouth all season. I mean, look, he is that dude. He is just huge, big, fast, strong. I mean, that thing. Who was that? Josh Norman. Man, that dude threw Josh Norman like he was just a little rag doll.
Really,
and
that's the type of running back I want for the Lions, and it's available, I think. And another Alabama guy, Najee Harris, who's 6'2" and 230. Man, that's quite as big as Henry, but he's a big physical running back who I definitely want the Lions to go along with Swift.
Yeah.
Swift is a smaller guy. I love those big running backs. I love a Derrick Henry. Yeah. I love the Bus, Jerome Bettis, and the Diesel and Jim Brown, big type running backs like that. I don't like these little pipsqueak running backs.
I mean,
get Najee Harris.
Swift is a little bit bigger than what people think he is. He's a solid 215. So he's just short. I think that's what it is with him. I mean, he's bigger than what people think he is. Like he's stockier than people think he is, because if he ain't gonna be built like his pop is swole. So I think that his pops trains him. So I think he trains him to be a tough runner. So I think my keys to the game, looking at it, I think one of the things is DeAndre Swift and that running back by committee with Detroit is to keep Derrick Henry at bay, is to run the ball and keep his big stuff on the sidelines. Eat the clock up and keep him on the sidelines, because that is going to be the best way for us to beat the Titans. But even if so, they have a scary passing game too. Don't sleep on Corey Davis and AJ Brown. Those are some tough receivers out there they have in Tennessee. It's gonna be. I mean, the Lions aren't just 11-point underdogs just because of Henry. It's because of their overall play. I mean, these guys have a really good defense. It's just gonna be some tough sledding for the Lions. They're gonna have to keep the Titans defense off balance all game, with a good mix of runs and pass, and maybe some trick plays or something that they haven't seen before. But it's gonna be some tough sledding for Detroit in Tennessee this weekend.
I have to agree. Love my Lions. You know, I support them all the time, but it's going to be tough, especially with shorthanded. And Stafford may not play either. So Chase
Yeah.
Daniel, the unpaid back, is going to earn this money this weekend.
All right. So speaking of that, all right. So let's go into it before we close the show out. All right, man. Who you got and what's the score?
Once again, you know, like I said, I love my Lions. I just said it, but it's going to be tough this week. I'm going to say Titans 35, Lions 21.
I like that score. I'm gonna say Titans maybe 40 and the Lions 28. That's our picks. That's our picks for the game. All right, so it's time for us to go ahead and get on out of here. All right, my man, tell the people how they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Facebook. My name is Sean Jennings. I'm on Facebook once again. Like I said, I take care of the Die Hard Dens page on Facebook. It's a public page. You can easily find it. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm a head administrator of Detroit Lions Truest fans. So I keep you well informed on both platforms. So I'll be happy to add you as a member. So just drop me a line.
Yeah, Seany J does an excellent job over there on our Facebook page and our and for both of those Truest Lions fan page and the Die Hard Den podcast Facebook page. All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CurtisSteele14. You can find the show at Die Hard Den Potsy 1. Check out our YouTube channel for all our content over there. If you're not watching, you can definitely see some more bonus content with graphics and stuff like that over on our YouTube channel or Facebook. And when you watch the videos over there, you get a little extra stuff, a little extra frosting on the cake over there on those channels. All right, if you listen to our podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your favorite podcast, you can also email the show at dieharddenpodcast at gmail.com. You can also follow the show on Instagram at die_hard_den_podcast. All right, Seany J, what is your parting shots for the people today?
Well, people, I know it's like a broken record, but like I said, this COVID ain't going away yet. I mean, I know there's supposed to be a vaccine coming out, but don't let your guard down. Continue to wear your mask. Continue to wash your hands. And continue social distancing.
Yes, and one other thing, my thing is keep doing that. But it's the holiday season, and with the COVID, you got people who are going to be in isolation. Reach out to loved ones or reach out to someone that may need it. It's the holidays, and they need that extra bit of care and love and support. And even if you know someone who's pretty much by themselves, just reach out to them. Call them, FaceTime them, Skype them, whatever it is, and just tell them that you care about them and that you share the love with them. And it's always a good thing to do that. All right, it is time to get on out of here. Hey, you know what you got to do. This is Kurt Steele from the Die Hard Den podcast. And whatever you do in life, you got to boss up, ball out, and be the best version of you that you can be. For my man, Seany J, this is Kurt Steele of the Die Hard Den podcast, and we are